All right, 4 o'clock on this Monday morning. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for waking up with us right here on the Pix 11 Morning News. I'm Vanessa Freeman. Begin with a look at your weather and traffic. Liv Johnson will check on the roads in just a minute. But first, meteorologist Stacey Ann Gooden with a weather alert forecast on this Monday. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning, and we already have a flash.
Good morning, Stacey Ann. Yeah, so we should give ourselves a little bit more time with this commute because of the traffic, but so far, or because of the weather, but so far everything is looking good for us. We do have a road closure. This is going to be for the Lincoln Tunnel outbound between the tunnel entrance exit on the New York side and the Jersey side back to 9th Ave, 10th Ave, or 30th Street. But we're still looking good on our crossing times. A beautiful look at the George Washington this morning. Things are running smooth upper and lower level. 7 minutes for a crossing time on the GW, 6 for the Lincoln Tunnel, 7 for the Holland Tunnel. So even with that closure, still looking good so far for those crossing times. And remember, your alternate side parking is in effect for today. Vanessa.
Liv, thank you. All right, let's get another check of our weather and traffic on this Monday. Liv Johnson will fill us in on the latest on the roads in just a minute. But first, weather alert today, Stacey Ann. What's in store? How much rain are we expected to get?
You know, we can get up to about 3+ inches, and I say plus because
so things are looking good so far for us this morning in the tri-state area. We're looking at a beautiful live picture of the George Washington Bridge. You can't really tell that the roads are slick, but they are, and we'll get another live look at a different street where you can see that in just a second. Crossing times are going smooth this morning. George Washington 7 minutes, Lincoln Tunnel 6 minutes, Holland Tunnel 7 minutes. So we're all good so far, but this is a live picture I was just talking about. You can tell that the roads are pretty slick, definitely picking up some volume. This is the LIE eastbound at New Hyde Park. Again, definitely picking up volume, and you see some of the water on the roads. Cross Bronx at Webster Avenue is looking good. We haven't seen any accidents or really delays so far, but you want to give yourself that extra time because these roads are starting to get a little wet and slick. Subway's running fine. Just the one train experiencing some delays this morning. All of our trains are running on or close to schedule, and not a good day to take the ferry. But if you are going to do that, everything's on or close to schedule. Alternate side parking is in effect today. Vanessa?
Thank you so much. Still to come at 4:21. We're now being told Legionnaire's outbreak is finally over, but the death...
Thank you, Stacey Ann. Okay, so things are looking good for us so far. We like to start our Monday morning with plenty of green. Yes, there's also plenty of rain out there, so give yourself some extra time and be a little bit more cautious, if you will. I do just want to bring up, there's this usual construction for the Lincoln Tunnel, but still we do have a road closure. This is outbound between the tunnel entrance and exit on the New York side and the New Jersey side. Again, this will likely be done by 5 o'clock. Just want to bring it up, bring up to attention. But crossing times are still looking good. This is also over the Alexander Hamilton Bridge. And you can see that the major beacon's looking good. Cross Bronx looks good so far, but roads are definitely getting a little bit more slick. So as I said, crossing times are good for your Hudson River crossings. You have 7 minutes for the George Washington, 6 for the Lincoln, and 7 for the Holland. Still, not many delays on the subway, just the one train experiencing some delays. All of your trains are on or close to schedule. That's the LIRR, the PATH, and day transit included. And then we also have all of our ferries on or close to schedule. And then, of course, our last note, which is our alternate side parking, is in effect. Vanessa? Liv, thank you so much. The New York City has activated a flash flood emergency plan because of the severe weather expected today. Officials are urging people to have a plan in place if conditions become unsafe. 6:11.
Thank you, Stacey Ann. Okay, so traffic is definitely picking up. I don't want to say we're crawling and go honest, but you can see a lot of brake lights. So people definitely giving themselves some extra space, some extra caution because that rain is coming down. And you can see on this live picture that we have a BQE at Gowanus. Again, you see that rain coming down, especially when you look by that street light, and it can emphasize how much rain is coming down. So roads are getting a little bit more slick. As I said, we weren't crawling on that last picture, but definitely seeing a pickup in some traffic and a lot of brake lights. So that gives you a good idea idea of kind of the conditions that we have out there right now. For your crossing times, your Hudson River crossing times, we're still looking good. 7 minutes for the George Washington, 6 for Lincoln Tunnel, Holland Tunnel, 7 minutes as well. So all closer to 5 than 10, and that's always the good news. Subways are running on or close to schedule. We just have delays on the 1. We're also looking good on all of our trains, Metro North, Long Island Railroad, NJ Transit, and the Path, all on or close to schedule. We also have all of our ferries on or close to schedule, although I probably wouldn't recommend taking that today because we're dealing with bad weather all morning and alternate side parking is in effect. Vanessa?
Thank you, Liv, for those updates. Still to come here on the Pix 11 Morning News, a confrontation with ICE caught on camera now going viral. The woman who was peppered telling very different stories.
I changed jobs and left Manhattan. I wasn't diagnosed with prostate and skin cancers until 2020. I never thought it was from toxins. But a friend got health care and compensation for his 9/11 cancers. Now I qualify too.
If you were in Lower Manhattan within 8 months after 9/11 and developed cancer, no matter your family history, call now for a free consultation. You may qualify for up to $250,000.
6 in Manhattan. Nelson Figueroa has that story.
Knicks star Karl Anthony Towns taking time to share his skills and smile with New York City kids Sunday at his youth basketball camp in Manhattan. About 1.
Thank you, Stacey. And okay, so traffic is definitely picking up. I don't want to say we're crawling in Gowanus, but you can see a lot of brake lights. So people definitely giving themselves some extra space, some extra caution because that rain is coming down. And you can see on this live picture that we have a BQE at Gowanus. Again, you see that rain coming down, especially when you look by that street light, and it can emphasize how much rain is coming down. So roads are getting a little bit more slick. As I said, we weren't crawling on that last picture, but definitely seeing a pickup in some traffic and a lot of brake lights. So that gives you a good idea of kind of the conditions that we have out there right now. For your crossing times, your Hudson River crossing times, we're still looking good. 7 minutes for the George Washington, 6 for Lincoln Tunnel, Holland Tunnel, 7 minutes as well. So all closer to 5 than 10, and that's always the good news. Subways are running on or close to schedule. We just have delays on the 1. We're also looking good on all of our trains, Metro North, Long Island Railroad, NJ Transit, and the Path, all on or close to schedule. We also have all of our ferries on or close to schedule, although I probably wouldn't recommend taking that today because we're dealing with bad weather all morning and alternate side parking is in effect. Vanessa?
Thank you, Liv, for those updates. Still to come here on the Pix 11 Morning News, a confrontation with ICE caught on camera.
We have plenty of delays and cancellations in the air. So Newark has 16 delays, 5 cancellations. LaGuardia 32 delays, 8 cancellations, and JFK has a lot more than that. 48 delays, 10 cancellations. So we'll be keeping updated on that throughout the morning. Taking a look at the BQE at Gowanus. Again, you can see that the roads are slick, raindrops on the camera. Hudson River crossings are still looking good, all about 5 to 10 minutes to get across George Washington, Lincoln Tunnel, and the Holland Tunnel. This is the LIE eastbound at New Hyde Park. Again, you can see that the roads are very wet. Traffic is increasing, so give yourself some extra time and space. All of the subways are on or close to schedule except the 1 train, and all of our ferries and rails are looking good as well. Vanessa?
Thank you so much for those.
Thank you, Stacey. And all right, so we're starting to see a little bit of crawl outside of LaGuardia right now, and we want to check back in with our flight delays and cancellations. They keep picking up and changing minute by minute, and unfortunately adding to the flights, cancellations and delays. So Newark right now, 19 delays, 5 cancellations. LaGuardia up to 36 delays. JFK up to 52 delays and 10 cancellations. I'm also seeing accidents pick up, unfortunately, as we get more people on the road and we have these slick conditions out there. So first, on the Garden State Parkway, we have an accident, shoulder blocked in Cranford. That's between exit 137 and 138. Also on the Garden State Parkway, we have 3 left lanes blocked. This is northbound between exit 132 and Colonia Rest area. So just give yourself some more time and some more space. For our trains, everything on or close to schedule, so no delays or cancellations there, just dealing with those issues in the sky, and we have alternate side parking in effect today. Vanessa?
Liv, thank you so much. Still to come, we are now being told Legionnaire's outbreak.
So still a lot more green than red, so that's always a good start. But as I said in the last traffic hit, I'm seeing some accidents build up. So I want to touch back on the Garden State Parkway because we've had multiple accidents. You can see a couple back to back right there. So we still have a shoulder blocked in Cranford. That's northbound between exit 137 and 138. This accident just cleared, but we did have 3 left lanes blocked, and this is between exit 132 and Colonia Rest area. It's still looking green, so it's not a lot of residual backup, but just the fact that we've had a few accidents build up up already is just, to reiterate, to give yourself some more time. Checking back in on these flight cancellations, I think I'll probably touch on this every traffic hit, because if you're about to head out the door and head to the airport, you should check with your carrier and see if your flight is delayed or canceled. We're up to 19 delays at Newark and 53 at JFK, 11 cancellations. Our subways are looking good, though. Okay, we're not seeing any delays right now, so that's the good news. Also, same with our trains. All of our trains are running on or close to schedule, and so are the ferries as well, but I don't think you really want to be taking a ferry this morning. If you are, though, there's no issue so far. Alternate side parking is in effect. Vanessa?
Liv, thank you. Tom Holland's fourth time playing the web-slinging teenager from Queens, and analysts say the turnout in theaters defies the recent superhero slump at the box office. Spider-Man's triumph knocked Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, into second place. The epic tale brought in $51 million. It's third.
So, checking in on your roads once again, I'm going to bring us down to Staten Island. We are having a bit of an issue with an overturned vehicle. It's left 2 lanes blocked. That's on the West Shore Expressway northbound between exit 5 and exit 7. Traffic stopped back up to exit 4. So you could see a little bit of a slowdown trying to get into New Jersey from Staten Island. Then this accident has just cleared, but there was one with the right lane blocked in Queens on the Van Wyck. You see still a little bit of some residual backup. Again, that's for the Van Wyck. Okay, so looking at JFK, I'm seeing a lot of brake lights. I'm seeing a lot of red as we lead up to the airport. And then once you are at the airport, if you are flying out of JFK, we're looking at 53 delays and 11 cancellations. Still a little bit of an improvement for LaGuardia and Newark, but we're looking at 36 delays at LaGuardia and 19 for Newark. Now I want to take you to your Hudson River crossings, because that is actually good news. We have about 9 minutes across the GW, 10 for the Lincoln Tunnel and 12 for the Holland. Now I'm going to send it over to Vanessa.
All right, Liv, thank you so much for those updates. 5:55 and still to come right here on the Pix 11 Morning News. A confrontation with ICE caught on camera now going viral.
A lot of brake lights, Stacey, and yeah, that's what you don't like to see, but it's not very surprising considering the weather that we are dealing with this morning. So this is to get into JFK. As Stacey Ann said, a lot of brake lights to get in. Once you do get in, more brake lights, because we have 53 delays, 11 cancellations. LaGuardia not much better, 36 delays, 7 cancellations, and Newark at about 19 delays and 4 cancellations. For your Hudson River crossings, everything looks pretty good. There were some issues getting into the Holland Tunnel, so I'm going to update that and have updates for you in the next traffic hit, because I see some red leading up to that. But other than that, if you're taking a train this morning, all of our trains are running on or close to schedule. Vanessa?
The Pix 11 traffic report presented by Ford.
So Stacey Ann mentioned she's really starting to see that rain come down in New Jersey. That's where I'm seeing some weather-related issues on our road. So I want to bring you over to South Patterson. This is on Getty Avenue between Hemlock Street and Hospital Plaza. And we're seeing some flash flooding and some issues driving in that area. We're still seeing green. Okay, I'm not seeing a lot of red or yellow, but most of the flash flooding that I've seen so far on the roads has been in New Jersey, especially a little bit more inland. Taking another live look at JFK, I did check in on LaGuardia and Newark. They look a lot better than outside of JFK. It is just a very slow crawl to get to the airport, a slower crawl to get out of the airport if you are flying out of there this morning. So we're still at 53 delays, 12 cancellations there. LaGuardia at 36 delays, and Newark facing 19 delays right now. Hudson River crossings are still looking mainly good, about 10 to 15 minutes for those. Checking in on our transit, Metro North, LIRR, NJ Transit, and the Path are all running on or close to schedule, and we have alternate side parking in effect this morning. Vanessa?
Liv, thank you so much for those.
Stacey Ann, thank you. So we are seeing a bit more of some delays, especially for the George Washington for your Hudson River crossings. I'm not seeing any incidents related to these delays. It's not like I see an accident or a closed road. I'm just seeing pretty much that buildup that usually happens around this hour. So 42 minutes now for your crossing time for the George Washington, 16 for the Lincoln, and 20 for the Holland. So back to our transit check. I mentioned on the desk that we're seeing delays now for the Port Jefferson branch. That's because we did have a train hit a downed tree, so that weather now impacting parts of your commute for the LIRR. Metro North is still running on or close to schedule, so is NJ Transit and the Path. Just one more quick check for the Long Island Expressway. This is eastbound at New Hyde Park. You see a lot of water. It's moving quite well. Traffic is picking up, but I'm not seeing any major delays or any issues there. Ferries running on or close to schedule, and alternate side parking is in effect. Vanessa? Right, thank you, Stacey. And so I want to head over to Queens first because I'm seeing a lot of red there, and we do have an accident that's been on the Van Wyck. So the right lane is blocked. This is on the expressway before Jewel Avenue, and it's stopping stop and go traffic back to exit A. It's a little bit of an improvement from a few minutes ago, but now I'm going to head out to the airports because we haven't seen a lot of improvement there. So live look outside of LaGuardia. It's a decent amount of traffic, not looking too bad outside, but inside we have 36 delays, 7 cancellations. JFK is up to 53 delays and 16 cancellations. And Newark about 20 delays. So if you are planning on flying this morning, make sure you check. Crossing times, George Washington over an hour right now. I do think we'll start to see some improvement in the next few minutes. Lincoln Tunnel 33 minutes and Holland Tunnel 21 minutes. We also are having some issues on the ferries and on transit, but I'll get to that in our next check. I'm going to send it back over to Hazel and Jay.
Thanks.
Thank you, Stacey. And all right, so looking again at our traffic flow maps, I'm still seeing some more red and some orange as more people get out there for your commute. And I just want to give you an example of how this really does impact our roads. We know it's impacting our flights. We know it's impacting our rails and some of our ferry service, but we also have a road close to flooding in New Brunswick. This is on Jersey Avenue northbound between Van Dyke Avenue and Taylor Square. So again, we are having some flooding issues, especially in New Jersey. I've been seeing some more issues further inland as well. So we still have this accident with the right lane blocked in Queens on the Van Wyck. This is back before Jewel Avenue. Now I am seeing a little bit of an improvement. I'm seeing more green, so at least we like to see that. And when I look at our live camera at Jewel Avenue, things seem to be running smoothly, except you see an example of just how wet the roads are and that we do have some localized flooding. So now I want to get to our transit check because we kind of have a lot going on here. Delays and suspensions for the Harlem-Danbury lines for the Metro North. Port Jefferson and Oyster Bay are facing some delays and cancellations. And the Port Jefferson one is because a train actually ran over a downed tree. So weather definitely impacting us on the trains today. And then we have some delays for the Maine Bergen and the Morrison Essex. And then ferries, everything's on or close to schedule except New York City and Sandy Hook. That has been canceled for today. But everything else for the ferries is running on or close to schedule. Over to Jay and Hazel.
All right, Liv, thank you. 7:21 right.
At risk of deportation.
And an NBA star hits the court once again, but this time it's to give back to some of his youngest fans.
Live from Pix Plaza on 42nd Street,
We do have some more moisture to the south, but if you're in Putnam County, for instance, you may be stuck in.
Definitely check with your carrier. We have 54 delays, 18 cancellations, 36 delays at LaGuardia, and we're up to 20 delays and 11 cancellations at Newark. So just want to take a couple more live looks. We are crawling BQE at Gowanus, obviously struggling on this side, and you see the camera is moving. The roads are very wet. Same thing, Major Deegan, this is at 234th Street. At least I like to see people kind of slowing down. Make sure that you just give yourself some extra time, some extra space between drivers, because even if the roads are looking okay right now, it just takes one little mistake for things to go wrong. So another update on your ferry check. Everything is on or close to schedule, except remember that the New York City and Sandy Hook line has been canceled for today. Not the best day to take the ferry regardless. Alternate side parking is also in effect for today. Hazel and Jay.
Pix 11 traffic report presented by Citizens. Make sense of your money with Citizens.
Is watching the impacts to the morning drive, but let's get you straight over to meteorologist Stacey Ann Gooden.
Yeah, just when you thought things were kind of clearing out nicely, well, the flood.
Right, thank you, Stacey. And so we have several issues, a lot of them weather related on the roads right now. I think the biggest issue for people trying to get into Manhattan on one of our Hudson River crossings is going to be the George Washington. So we have a couple issues there, and one of those is an off ramp that's partially blocked due to a crash that's in the Bronx on 3rd Avenue. So right now, looking at your crossing times, it's over an hour to get across the George Washington Bridge. That's not how we like to start our Monday. Lincoln Tunnel doesn't look too much better. This is a live picture going inbound to it, and you can see it's a slow crawl. It's about 45 minutes to get across the Lincoln Tunnel. Holland Tunnel, different story. That's about 15 to 20, so that looks a lot better. For our transit check, I just want to get to this for our first traffic hit. Metro North has a couple delays and suspensions. Same thing for the Long Island Railroad. Most of these are weather related, and then also for your New Jersey transit, but the path is running on or close to schedule. And I'll send it over to you, Hazel and Jay.
And I'm Jay Dow in for Dan. We've got weather alerts today for another round of heavy rain and flooding.
And Liv Johnson is watching the impacts to the morning drive, but let's get you straight over to meteorologist Stacey Ann Gooden.
Yeah, just when you thought things were kind of clearing out nicely, well, the flood.
All right, thank you, Stacey Ann. So we have several issues, a lot of them weather related on the roads right now. I think the biggest issue for people trying to get into Manhattan on one of our Hudson River crossings is going to be the George Washington. So we have a couple issues there, and one of those is an off-ramp that's partially blocked due to a crash that's in the Bronx on 3rd Avenue. So right now, looking at your crossing times, it's over an hour to get across the George Washington Bridge. That's not how we like to start our Monday. Lincoln Tunnel doesn't look too much better. This is a live picture going inbound to it, and you can see it's a slow crawl. It's about 45 minutes to get across the Lincoln Tunnel. Holland Tunnel, different story. That's about 15 to 20, so that looks a lot better. For our transit check, I just want to get to this for our first traffic hit. Metro North has a couple delays and suspensions. Same thing for the Long Island Railroad. Most of these are weather related, and then also for your New Jersey Transit, but the path is running on or close to schedule. And I'll send it over to you, Hazel and Jay.
Thanks.
All right, at least we can see some hope on the horizon for that humidity. Okay, so let's check in on our roads and see some specific weather-related incidents. So we do have some flooding right now in Queens. This is on the LI-8 exit 22 at the Van Wyck Expressway, and then very nearby we have a crash. Okay, so right lane is blocked in Queens. This is on the Van Wyck Expressway before Jewel Avenue, and stop-and-go traffic all the way back to exit 8. Now, when I look at our live picture of Van Wyck at Jewel Avenue, at least where our camera is, doesn't look too bad. I'm definitely seeing a lot of water. It is slick out there on the roads. This is our Van Wyck at Atlantic Avenue, and this is going a little bit slower. It's still relatively smooth. We see part of a lane that was blocked off, usually for some construction at this time. I also want to give a quick update on our transit. So now the Port Jeff line is running fine. It was delayed earlier, but now we just have some cancellations for Oyster Bay. Still some delays for the main Bergen line and the Morrison Essex, and then Harlem, Hudson, and New Haven for the Metro North. But your path is still running on or close to schedule. Checking in on your ferries. Everything on or close to schedule except for the Sea Streak. We do have one cancellation of the route between New York City and Sandy Hook, but everything else is on or close to schedule, and alternate side parking is in effect. Hazel and Jay. All right. It was the George Washington Bridge, though. I think this has since been updated in the last couple of minutes to be about an hour instead of 70 minutes, but still pretty significant delays there. Lincoln Tunnel about 45, Holland Tunnel about 15 to 20. Then I want to go to our airports. I know the background doesn't change, but I still want to touch on these headlines. So Newark's at 20 delays, 18 cancellations, LaGuardia 36 delays, and JFK 54. So check with your carrier this morning. Then right to the rails, Harlem, Hudson, New Haven lines for the Metro North, all having some delays and suspensions. We have Oyster Bay cancellations for the Long Island Railroad, and then for New Jersey Transit, Maine, Bergen, Morrison, Essex. On schedule for the path, okay? Most everything has had some sort of issue, but we are on schedule there. All of our ferries are on or close to schedule, like I said when we were standing by the desk, except there is a cancellation between New York City and Sandy Hook. I think I got all the headlines in there. Alternate side parking is also in effect.
Mass transit